Alright you guys, so now that we got the rear wheel off, it is time to make some modifications and do some general maintenance stuff. So as far as the modifications go, we're going to be swapping back to the street wheels and tires. We're going to be throwing on a 37 tooth sprocket in the rear. I'm super excited for that. I've been running the 14 tooth in the front for a long time. And while it made a bit of a difference, I think that 37 is just gonna put it where it needs to be. And I really just hope it helps with those second gear wheelies and just a better power delivery in general. On top of that, we're gonna be replacing the rear brake pads. Those are the original brake pads, and you guys know how much I use that rear brake, so they lasted quite a long time. We'll see how long these EBC pads last compared to the OEM. So enough talking, it's time to put this stand to work and get some stuff done. So in order to get to the screw on the right here, I had to unbolt it from the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack this one loose. Oh my gosh, there's so much dirt in there, I can't even get a screwdriver. These are Phillips, unfortunately. I don't know why they do that. Phillips are trash, but you wanna make sure you use a number 2 Phillips. And thankfully it wasn't super tight. So this uses a .4 brake fluid, which is pretty corrosive, so just make sure you don't get it on any painted parts or anything, and if you do, wipe it off right away. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this other one off as well. You definitely wanna wear gloves too. I'm a trained professional, so I feel like it's mostly water anyways now. Oh. Now to flush the system, I am gonna bolt it back on so this thing's not moving around. We're also gonna be giving this Bike Master vacuum bleeder a try. You just hook it up to your air compressor and it should just suck all the brake fluid out in one continuous flow. And if you are pouring new fluid into the reservoir, you shouldn't have any issues with the air bubbles. So we'll see how it works. It was worth a try, and it sure beats continuously opening and closing the bleeder valve, pumping the system. This thing will be linked down below, and let's give it a shot. Man, that thing is heavy duty. And it does have a little T-splitter right here, so you can actually do both the front and rear brakes at once, but I will never do that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put just the regular fitting on there. So the handle just threads onto the reservoir here. Hook it up here. And we should have suction. Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start off by swapping out these brake pads. Go ahead and remove this dust plug, and we will go ahead and zip that out of there. Coming out, number 1. Number 2, going back in. And pad number 2. Now hopefully these things work a lot better. That is the before and that is after. Definitely a lot more meat. As you can see, there's a bunch of dirt lodged in these. What are you doing? Is this your hangout spot up here? Got your own little tree fort? Go grab me the street wheels and tires. Ever since I put that little foam mat, that's his hangout spot. We have the meats, aka the V-rubbers. It's time to get these things cleaned up. They're looking pretty nasty. Some nice spider eggs in here. Oh yeah. So here we have the JT 37 tooth rear sprocket. I've had really good experiences with the JT sprockets. What do you think, bud? Good company? Yeah, they're good. Make good stuff. Super affordable too. So let's go ahead and slap this thing on here. And yes, the original is 34 teeth. So we are going up 3 in the rear, and I believe it's a 15 tooth that comes from the factory in the front. So you go down a tooth in the front and up in the rear. This thing is shiny. That's not gonna last. Alright, I guess that Loctite works that I used last time.
Ryan Little.
Rotor still looks pretty good. Alright, we are done with this old clapped out wheel. We forgot the cush. For those of you that don't know what a cush drive system does is it just basically reduces vibration. That and it takes the stress off of the wheel itself. Like when you give it a hard clutch dump, this absorbs some of that shock. Boom! Let's get this thing cleaned up. That is disgusting. Boom! All nice and pretty. New sexy sprocket is going on. I think I'm gonna hit these with a dab of blue just to be safe. If you guys haven't used the gel Loctite before, I definitely recommend it. It's a heck of a lot cleaner and it just seems to last longer. I mean, I know this is a big tube, but I'll go ahead and link it down below. You want to torque these to about 5 Ooga Doogas. Boom! Throw this clapped out rotor back on.
Rotor still looks pretty good.
Well boys, she's ready to go back on. And we're gonna apply some anti-seize to this axle so that never happens again. That was a rough time getting this thing out of there. The only thing I don't like about anti-seize is it makes a mess, but I mean, honestly, no more than any other grease, so I think it's just more noticeable. Slip that chain onto that new sprocket. Woo! I was kind of hoping since my chain was fairly stretched that I wouldn't have to swap out the chain with the bigger sprocket. It looks close and I just don't want it to be too tight. But here's something I'm pretty excited about. We're gonna be installing some Grom Fatherz Speed Spacers courtesy of Larry. Shout out to you, man, I appreciate it. He is out of the Grom game and he had these laying around. Look brand new, pretty sweet. So I'm going to throw these in there and I don't know. I think after everything we're doing, we're gonna notice a huge difference. I could barely hit like 55 before with this current setup. So these things are lighter and they're a little bit smaller. Every little bit helps with these Groms. So let's go ahead and throw these in here. Well, we ran into a bit of an issue. These brake pads fit, but they're definitely way too thick.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
Because look where that sits. It's almost covering up that entire groove that the rotor goes through, and that's just not gonna work. I took a look at Alexis's brake pads, because they're still pretty fresh, and yeah, there's just no way that this is gonna work, so that's a fail. Had reviews with people saying that it fit the Grom, so I guess we're gonna reuse these. I cleaned the dirt out of them. I don't have any more brake cleaner left, but we'll get them nice and hot and maybe get some of this stuff burn off, and yeah, that's a bummer. Old pads are going in. That's exciting. Let's try this again.
Ryan Little.
All right, right away, look at that. Wow. All right, I absolutely love where that is right there. We can officially tighten this thing up. Boom! I like it. I love it. Lock nuts going on. All right guys, the rear wheel is on. I think I found the trick this time, and the brakes are compressed so it doesn't slide as free as it was, but definitely notice a big difference right away. Shout out to my boy Josh. I actually bought his stock wheels off of his SF. He bought a set of white, I believe they're Enkis. They're white wheels that he bought for his SF, and I bought the stock set just because I wanted to have a set of street tires on standby and I didn't have to spoon all the time, because these Grom tires are a pain in the you-know-what. But we got a set of freshies that have been untouched, still have the original V-rubbers. So these things are nice, the wheel bearings are fresh, and on top of that with the speed spacers, I think it's gonna be a huge game changer. The new 37T Sprocket is in there looking nice and fresh. I'm gonna pop off this cover really quick because I guarantee there's some nasty stuff lying beneath this. Actually not that bad. I don't even think it was worth taking off. We do have a lot of buildup like behind the sprocket, so I don't know if we want to do anything with that. Oh yeah, there's some bird's nests in there. Fun fact, on the last Florida trip when we arrived to the lot and the first like 5 minutes on the ground, my chain popped off. It got bunched up in here and it actually broke the threads on the case there, so good stuff. I can still get a bolt in there just enough to be able to use that cover. Yeah, so we're not gonna worry about that. As long as she rolls halfway freely, that's all I care about. All right, that was a waste of time. Going back on. Well, I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but my brake lever is jacked up from that last little woods ride that we did. It's bent up pretty bad, so we're gonna straighten that thing out. As you can see, we've done that plenty of times. All right, bringing out the pipe wrench. Always a good choice. Boom, I like that. We have one more thing to do, and that's to bleed this brake. And we're gonna go ahead and attach our hoses. Kick the compressor on. It's gonna be kind of noisy, so I'm gonna put some music on, and we'll get this properly bled. All right, so the key to doing this is to have a continuous flow through the hoses and to not introduce any air to the system. By doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start this, lock the handle so it just keeps bleeding, crack this, and then just keep filling it in until clear fluid starts coming through the hose. By clear, I mean clean.
Ryan Little.
Well, you guys, I think we have a perfectly bled system. The last thing that I bled brakes on was the KX250, and this vacuum bleeder just made life so much easier, and it's definitely one of those buy once, cry once tools, but you don't have to cry because they're not that expensive. Like I said, if you guys are interested, links to literally everything will be down below. That was a game changer, and I'm looking forward to using it for years to come, especially once we get a bigger compressor that doesn't have to run every 5 seconds. Got all that anti-seize on the tire. That'll be good for grip. For sure. Definitely pulled a lot of fluid out of there, and there's a bunch of dirt and debris, so I'm glad I got that out of there. I'm gonna go turn this in to my local auto parts store. Yeah. All right, you guys, and just like that, we're back to the street setup. You guys know I like off-roading, so I don't know how long it's gonna last, but for the Florida trip and some upcoming events, it just makes sense. So we're gonna leave it on for a while, at least a few months. Those are V-rubbers, so we can't be getting too crazy in the turns, but I don't like turns that much anyways. Mainly it's just for wheelies, and I've got some awesome mods that I'm gonna be installing very soon, so stay tuned for that. It's definitely gonna bring some more elements to the wheelies, if that makes any sense. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Like I said, everything that I use will be in the description. I'll say it one more time. I always get asked about the stuff that I use, so anytime that I use something, it will be down below. So the motorcycle stand works absolutely fantastic. I'm super happy with it for the price. You can't beat it. Brake pads were a bust, so I guess I'll just link the OEM ones. We did the speed spacers, so I'm looking forward to seeing if we can notice a difference. 37 tooth sprocket. Man, I'm happy to finally have the gearing that I always wanted. I should have done it right off the get. I didn't want to limit my top speed too much, was my thinking, so that's why I went to the the 14, but it was kind of counterproductive because they say the smaller that you go in the front, the more chain drag that you have, so you're probably better off to just go larger in the rear. But I am gonna stick with the 1437. That's pretty much what everybody runs for the most part. I'm sure I'll be able to notice a difference. Hopefully second gear sit downs will be pretty easy. But beyond that, I don't wanna give too much away. Thank you all for watching. We have non-stop moto content dropping every day for a while, so look forward to that. I love you guys, and until tomorrow's video, I'll see you then.